Well, howdy everyone. In this video, I'm going to spend a few minutes and show you how to use the virtual meeting room in order to hold your classes at a determined time, much like your students are used to, so you can still hold your class during the regular hours, the structured hours that many of our students need. Some of them just can't take the self-pace of do it whenever you can. They just, they don't have the whatever it takes to do that. I certainly didn't when I was their age. Well, first, you're going to log into the classroom or the Blackboard class for the class that you want to present to. In advance, we're going to set this up quite early. Prior to going into the class day, you're going to want to set your PowerPoint presentation up so that it is, geared towards this program. But let's go ahead and get into the classroom first, and I'll kind of show you around. We'll talk about what you're going to want to do to your PowerPoint presentation. So you're going to click over here on the virtual meeting room, and it's going to bring you up into this Blackboard Ultra session. Each class will have a session that's named after the course. I'm using one from an old class that's no longer available. And it's going to be called Course Room. So this is what we're going to be working with. You can lock it or unlock it. Right now this one's locked. You will normally want to keep it locked when you're not using it. You want to keep it locked when you, so that the students don't accidentally log into the wrong classroom. It'll tell them it's locked, and they'll know that they didn't hit the right link. Because there's a good possibility someone's going to be looking at the wrong email. They'll click on it, and if that class is open, they're going to sit there and wonder where everybody is. So if you lock it, it's going to tell them they can't get in. Unlock it about 10 to 15 minutes before class time. So to lock the room and unlock it, you're going to come over to this little menu button over here, which is 3 dots in a circle. I will lock it now. If someone tries to get in, they won't. You can't even get into it while it's locked. In order for you to get into the session or anybody else, you're going to click on the Unlock Course Room. Now we can get into it. So if we click on this menu again and we click on Join Course Room, you will be brought into the room itself. It's going to take a minute. The first time you get into it in a browser, it's going to ask you about permissions to use your camera, permissions to use your microphone. It will do a mic test for you. There's a little magenta bar that's going across. Make sure that that's showing up, and then it's going to bring the camera up. Obviously, some people may not want their images. You don't have to have the camera turned on. You're going to have the mic turned on so they can hear you, but you don't have to have the camera turned on. I would leave the mic off until you're ready to start class. Now, there are a lot of different items that you can add to this course. There's a variety of ways you can add content. I'm going to go over some of those. To get to the content menu over here on the lower right-hand corner, it's called the Collaborate panel. If you click on the arrows that are pointing to the left, it will bring this panel out. And it starts in a chat room. I did have a student who chatted with me in a test session because he couldn't hear me, so he was able to send me a test chat. There's no one else logged into this room right now, so there's no chat that can go on. This menu also has the attendees icon. Right here, that's where you can click on it, and it'll show you everybody that's logged in. Right now, it's just me. So that's all that is there. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and I'm going to go log into the session, so that will be at least one other person in the system. Through the magic of the pause button, that only took a couple seconds, but I have now got a second student. I've got an incognito window with a student name. I'm a student, and you can see on the screen that they are in the session. Let me lower this down a little bit. And also here on the icon, there's now a 2 indicating there are 2 people in the room. It will indicate how many there are. To get to the Share the Content menu, the next icon over this little arrow that goes to the right inside that broken box is the share content window. This is where we're going to be working. So we'll go ahead and click on it, and it's going to bring you up several options. The one I'm really going to show you is share files, but I'm going to briefly show you the others so that you can kind of see what is available. The share blank whiteboard keeps you within the setting of the Ultra Collaborate, and it brings up a white screen where you can do things. You've got a selector to point at things, a pointer so that it will point at something particular on the screen. You can add shapes, so I can add a shape to it. You can type text in, and you can erase things. So we'll put a circle in here. Whoop. And we will type some text. You can select the text, make it bigger, move it around, use the pointer to point at the text. You can actually even just write on the board, and you can select different colors for your writing. Of course, you've got to be able to write with a cursor, so it's not, for me, it's not that easy, as obviously. So that share content. This will work really good for people that are used to using a chalkboard. I'm not going to be using it, but it's there. The next one is the share applications or screen. It gives you 3 different options. You can share your entire screen. That will be everything that is on your screen. Whatever is visible on your screen will be visible to your students. You can do a single application. I'm going to quickly share a Word document. The thing with this is now that I'm sharing it with you, you're outside the environment. If someone asks a question, you have to go back to the Blackboard screen in order to see who's doing it. You can click back on to that screen. Whoops, if I can get over there. This is what you would see. You can answer their questions and click back to the item. That works okay if you're using a Word document like I'm doing here. It doesn't work so good if you're using a full screen of a PowerPoint presentation, because you actually have to exit out of the PowerPoint presentation, full screen mode, and have to exit out of the program, and then go back, answer the question, and navigate back. It's just a little bit too complicated. I would not suggest doing that. We can just stop sharing and go back to the screen. Hang on, let me move back over to the screen. The next one on there is to share a Chrome tab, and you can share any one of these other tabs. Let me go ahead and we'll briefly open up a YouTube video. Let's see what we got. Do a walkthrough of a camper.
Welcome to behind the scenes look at the new.
So what you can do here is when you select the tab you're going to walk through, you click on it, and then it will share that tab on the screen. You could play your YouTube video and so forth. So once I close that out, that's going to bring me back to the share tab. That's kind of the sharing of the screen or applications. They're good things to use. For this kind of emergency we're in, I would suggest keeping things as simple as possible. The best thing, since most of you are going to be using PowerPoint presentations, is to just share a PowerPoint presentation. As long as that PowerPoint presentation is a flat file, which means doesn't have animation that has pictures on top of pictures, everything works out great. This is also where we'll add questions for a polling of the students to kind of make sure they're awake and make sure they're participating in the class. I'm going to show you how to do that also in just a minute. So let's first upload a file. Hopefully, in this demonstration, you've got a PowerPoint slide that you can upload. You need to make one if you're going to use that method. You can upload multiple files in here. I've already got one in this program. I'm going to upload another one now. You can actually drag it and drop it. You can use PowerPoint, images, PDF files, and again, you can drag and drop it, or you can hit Add File and then navigate to the file you're going to add. I'm going to go ahead and click on this Chapter 9. This is one I'm going to be using next week. And it takes a minute to upload, or a few seconds to upload. It takes a lot longer to convert. So once it converts, then you can display it to your students. Again, you can have multiple files on here that you can keep. So because the conversion process does take a while. So now let's go over to what you can do with if you want to clean things up, and you want to remove a file, you just click on this three dots, hit remove, and you'd be able to remove it. While that file is uploading, I'm going to go ahead and click over here to share the file that's already ready. You highlight the file by clicking on it, and then hit share now. The slides will all come up in this preview menu, and then you can click on one of the slides, whichever one you want to start on, and that's where the presentation will start. If this slide menu is open, if you want to move ahead to another slide, you can. For instance, I thought I had polling in here. There it goes. So if I wanted to move to this slide on using polling, you can navigate that way. You may not keep that window open. The normal way to go through this system is to go left or right on these arrows, and you'll just navigate through it, and you'll be speaking to your students. When you're starting class, I'll show you again later, but you want to make sure that you activate your audio. I don't want to activate it now because it's going to echo back. You also activate your video so that they can see you. I'll briefly activate mine. It's going to come up on the screen, share video, and it will show up. I'm going to turn that off because don't need it on right now. So that is a couple of things that you have to do. We'll talk about that again in a minute when we talk about a quick checklist of things to do when you do your presentations. When you're finished, if you want to change presentations, if you'll click on the stop sharing, and then it should bring you back. This one that's already up here is still updating itself, converting itself. That does take a few minutes to complete. So we'll go back into this one, and I'm going to show you a couple other things. Now, one thing that your students can do, and let me jump on over to this, other session that I'm a student in. If they want to ask a question, the students will click on this raise hand icon at the bottom, and then that will show up on your screen as a little icon. You can have multiple people up there. You would tell them, go ahead and ask your question, activate your mic so that you can ask the question. And once they've asked their question, answer it. You want to lower their hand and tell them to mute their mic again, because if you've got everybody opening it up at the same time, that's going to kind of add up pretty quickly. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you is polling. This is a kind of an important thing to help the students kind of keep what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and open up this session. I've got some polls somewhere in here in this classroom. I started with a very simple yes, no poll. Are you ready to learn in a virtual classroom? So the way we're going to do this poll is in this share menu, there is a icon for polling. Well, if your navigation slides up, it's not going to show up. So a quick way to do that is click on attendees. This will show you who all is here. You're going to want to look at that every once in a while to see how many students are there. During the polls, you're going to want to look at it also. So let me go ahead and now click back on this share content menu. The menu will be there. You're simply going to click polling. This is a yes/no question. You're going to read this question to your students and tell them to answer yes or no when the poll comes up. Just simply click on that. You don't need to fill anything in. They can remember whether their answer is yes or no. Click on this, and then it's going to display. So let me now run over to the student section, and I'm going to say yes, of course. And back on your session, it's going to show up. when everybody's answered, and the way you can look, if you've got, this one, I've only got 2 people in the class, I haven't answered, so that's, yourself counts as in that number. But if you want to see who hasn't answered, you say you've got 5 no answers, you can click on attendees, and you'll notice that right next to I'm a student's name, there's a Y saying that I'm a student answered yes. There's nothing next to my name because I didn't answer. Let me say no. Now the answer no is next to mine. That way you can kind of look down and see who is not answering. Now, once everybody's answered, you can show the results to your students by simply clicking on Show Responses. Let me go back to that student screen, and you'll see that on their screen, they've got the responses. Okay. Now, once you have completed the poll, you want to end the polling by clicking on this little filled-in box inside a circle. Don't click the X because it leaves it open. So if you click on that, then it goes away. Now, if I get through, I'm going to run through a bunch of slides. I've got some other polls in here. Wait a minute. Well, that's another yes, no. Let me get to it. I think I've got one that is multiple choice. I hope I've got a multiple choice one in here. If not, I'll go back to the other screen. Bear with me. Oh, nope, this one is all yes, no's. Well, let me go ahead and stop sharing this presentation, go back over here and share the, oops, wrong one, hang on. Share this other file. And then I'm going to come over here to the multiple choice one. And okay, here's my good multiple choice question. Got it on the screen. Well, I haven't got to the question yet. Oh, multiple choice polling can be easy, engaging, keep the students alert, all of these. So that is the question. You would read the question to the students. You would then navigate back to this polling section, click on multiple choice. It's only got 2 choices here. You've got 4 choices. And again, you want to use 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can have up to 5 choices. If you want 5, I'll limit mine to 4. You're going to need to add choices by clicking on Add Choice until you get to the proper number. Simply hit Start Polling, and again, you're going to have the same type of responses. You'll be able to look at the students in the same manner to see who's answered. The key thing here is to always remember when you're done to end the polling by clicking in this circle, the box in the circle, and not the X. I keep doing that myself. When you go to do it to a poll again, you got to close it out, so be sure to do that. Well, that's it as far as adding polling and adding your files to the course. There are some other things that you're going to need to do. And let me pull my notes as to where I'm at. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, well, I'm not going to exit out of the session. I'm going to show you how to record the session. You want to record the session so that you can give it to any other students. So when you first log in, you're going to want to click on Start Recording. It will start recording the session. When you have finished your class, that's when you can go back, and if you want to clean up these files, I don't want chapter 9 in here anymore. I'm going to remove it because we're done. If I'm on this, and this is as far as I got in my presentation, if I want to leave this screen on, this slide on, when I come back to it at class, next week, this slide will still be up there, so you don't have to delete them out. But just for clutter purposes, you may want to delete things out. You see the session is recording because it's showing recording in progress. And you will be able to kind of, you'll be able to pull this up and see where you're, excuse me, you've got someone texting me, so I'm kind of stop for a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. At any rate, you want to get the recording going so that you can give it to students kind of later on, students that have missed the class. The other thing we're going to talk about is going to be the results of these videos, where to find them, and a report so you can look at the number of students who have logged in. So we're finished with the class session. I'm ready to leave it. First thing I'm going to do is come over here and stop the recording. Then I might clean up some files over here, and then you can come back to this session and hit leave session, or you can simply click close out the folder that you're in. So I'm going to go ahead and click leave session. It's going to give you this little survey they do. I haven't ever answered it. I always skip it, and I'll close that out. So now we are going to be on the back to that collaborate screen. This is where we will find the reports in the videos. Let's go to the report first. It's going to take several hours for these reports to show up, but I've got some on here that have been here for a while. The reports are going to be based upon the time that the session ended. So I've got a report with that lasted an hour. I guess I probably left it logged on. Here's a 7-minute session. When it ended, it will show you who the moderator was and how long I was in the system. In this one, I was testing the telephone service, so someone called in. They don't have a name. You go back and find one that actually has some names to it. Again, you click on this 3-dot icon, your reports, and I'll go to this one, and then again, my friend I'm a student was logged in from 3:29 to 4:39 on this session. You'll get a list of everybody that was there. You can now click on printable, and it will bring up a printable version of it that you can print, or you can or you can export it to a CVS and Excel file if you would like. That's so that you can save it. Now the last thing I want to show you here is going to be finding the recordings. For that, you're going to go over to this menu, click on the menu, and then it'll push out the menu, and then you'll have recordings. Click on recordings. They are based on the time that the recording started. So I've got a recording here that I did this morning at 11:34 a.m. Actually, I think that was the one I just did. That's the quickest I've ever had one come up. So it should come up on the screen, in theory. Takes a minute to load. And there it is. So that is the recording. I didn't have the mic active, so it doesn't have any sound on it. What you're going to want to do with this recording, you can play it yourself, but what you really want to do with it is you want to click on this, the options, the 3-dot menu over here, and you want to copy a link. Then you will take that link and paste it into an email and email your students, so all the students can know what's going on. Now, as far as your students getting into the system, we'll go back to sessions. You're going to need to send them an email with the link to the system. They can log in through Blackboard, which is the preferred way. But if they're going to use their cell phone or something of that nature, it may not work as well in Blackboard. So what you're going to want to do is you send them a link, and then they can log in with their phone. By simply clicking on this 3 dots, you will get that, and you click copy guest link. You'll then have it in the clipboard, paste that into your phone book. The other thing, if they don't have a mic on their computer and they want to come in using their phone to dial in, discourage this, because unless their phone has a mute button on it, their mic's always active and you get a lot of background noise. Unfortunately, this, at least in my computer, doesn't allow you to copy and paste it. I click on it, it actually wants to make a call from one of my cell phones. So you'll actually have to write it down or type it down into your email. manually copy it into your email, and send them that email. They can log into the system from a computer, from a laptop, from a tablet, from a phone, from just about anything. I don't know if they can do it with their watches now, but it wouldn't surprise me. So, kind of encourage them to, obviously the best way for you or best way is if they're in Blackboard, but any of the other methods work. That's about it. If you have any questions, send me an email and I will try to answer those questions for you.